We are live, we are live, we are live. Oh, great. Hi everyone. Welcome to a book a month with Vaani का नया stream. And आज के stream में हम लोग open discuss करने वाले हैं. I'm just trying to open the अरे open ही discuss करने वाले हैं and I'm opening my laptop. 1 second. Sorry for like the हाँ. So, hi everyone. So today we have with us Ojashri, Karthik, Harkirat, Radhika, and Parth. Hi everyone. कैसे हैं सब?
Hi.
पार्थ
good.
अपनी ओरिएंटेशन सही कर लीजिए. या सो गाइज आज हम लोग आंध्र अगासी की ओपन डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. एंड Saurabh, if you can send me the link on any of our chats now of the stream, तो it would be great. क्योंकि मेरे को साथ में comments दिखते रहेंगे and I'll keep addressing those also. And like सबसे पहले सबका इंट्रो लेते हैं, कौन कहाँ से ज्वाइन कर रहा है. So please हमें बताइए. Like let's start with Ojashri.
I am from Nasik.
Oh, you are joining from Nasik.
Yeah.
Karthik?
I am joining from Bangalore.
You're joining from Bangalore. Okay. And Harkirat?
I'm joining from Delhi.
Delhi. Radhika?
I'm joining from Chennai.
Chennai. Parth? आप म्यूट पे हो पार्थ.
I'm joining from Kansas.
Kansas. Nice. So guys, आज के stream में like I said कि open discuss करेंगे और just a quick update. अभी वानी like last moment तक आना चाह रही थी but like she got some cold, तो अभी like मैंने कहा कि just take some rest and we decided कि एक बार I will take the lead. Like full disclosure, मैं पूरी किताब खत्म नहीं कर पाया था but I read the starting few chapters and they were really amazing. और मेरे दिमाग में अभी भी वो विजुअल है जब वो और उनके ओपोनेंट ऐसे लेटे होते हैं और उनके हाथ टच कर रहे होते हैं और फिर जब पूरी की पूरी स्टोरी चालू होती है. आई रियली लाइक दैट. एंड या सो मैं सबके एक्सपीरियंसेस जानना चाहता हूँ एंड लाइक आप लोग एक दूसरे के साथ मॉडरेट करें और अब बात कीजिए. सो सबके सब इंडिविजुअली एक्सपीरियंसेस जानते हैं एंड वी विल स्टार्ट विद पार्थ.
Okay. So I think मेरे last 2 chapters बाकी है अभी. मैंने एक book इसलिए पढ़ी. I don't like read much as everybody else here, पर मैं टेनिस खेलता हूँ. You guys can hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
तो मैं टेनिस खेलता हूँ और मैंने बहुत पहले जब मैंने टेनिस खेलना शुरू किया था 10-15 साल पहले तो वीडियो देखी थी जब Pete Sampras, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal and Andre Agassi was doing a charity game for some event. And in that, Federer asked Agassi like, hey, how fast can you serve? And he asked her, can you serve 113 kilometers per hour? And he serves exactly that. And since then, I was following Agassi. And मुझे पता नहीं था कि उसने ऑटोबायोग्राफी लिखी. Thanks to Vaani and Chalchitra, I found that I found he has wrote the book, so I must read. और मतलब बुक पढ़ने के बाद आंद्रे अगासी के लिए और रिस्पेक्ट बढ़ गई कि he's such a good tennis player, also at a human level. He's a very and I like वो ये तो book is really good and it's like for me win-win situation, tennis and a good book. So
nice. Radhika, please share your experience of reading Open.
Yeah, so I think Open had been in my reading list for a while, but when like Vaani announced that this is going to be book of the month, so I thought okay, it will be a good point to start. I finished it within like a span of 2 weeks, I guess. I'm not much into tennis or that sport as such, but I still found that interesting, and the way he had described a few of their matches and the stream, it made me actually go back to that particular match he described and then stream live ki matlab okay is point pe isne aisa bola tha, what he had felt and a particular shot he would have described. And besides that, I think I really enjoyed his own perspective of how his personality has changed and what he has been through. because I usually relate to more of how a character grows in a book, which was pretty inspiring at some points and pretty interesting to know about him. So I had a good time.
Nice, nice. Harkirat, like, do you want to go next?
Sure, Vaibhav. So I am a big tennis fan, and I think I started watching tennis with the whole Federer Nadal thing. So I'm 24, so my age sort of peaked at that time, and
Huh.
Agassi was just before my time. But I've heard about Agassi and how animated he was on the court, and I think that almost changed with Federer and Nadal, who were more gentlemanly on the court. So I think I was just intrigued by how Agassi is. And similar to Radhika, I think this book was on my reading list for quite some time. But my girlfriend gifted it to me earlier this year in lockdown, and I read it at that time. And I think I just fell in love with how open he was, for the lack of a better term. I think I'm not a big fan of autobiographies in general because I feel people paint a biased view or have a biased view of themselves. But I really loved how vulnerable Agassi came off in this book. I think he just poured it all out, and I think it takes a certain level of self confidence to show your insecurities in front of the whole world like that, which I think I really enjoyed. And just the entire tennis experience. I think somebody else also said that the experiences of tennis matches, how he described those, I think that was also beautiful. So yeah, I think overall I really enjoyed reading this book.
Nice, nice, nice. We'll now move to मैं मेरे जैसे Zoom पे मेरे को दिख रहा है ना मैं वैसे चल रहा हूँ. Karthik is next. Karthik.
Okay. Yeah. No, so this was really enjoyable. I think uh, what was interesting is actually, मतलब कुछ I read this over some 20 days. So typically you expect some kind of a writing style and all that, जो एक standard English होता है. So after 1 week or so, I'm realizing that I'm writing my office mails also like that, like very cut to cut sentences. Yeah, you do this, and then I thought of it like that, and those like almost lot of his sentences were like 6 to 10 words kind of a sentences, because it's almost like a serve underwritten kind of a thing in this thing also. So that was one new style of writing. But otherwise, from a tennis perspective, I think so like what Harkirat was saying now, I'm 37. So for me, that's this was how I got inducted into tennis, at least the early days. So Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi was the rivalry then, and like how Federer and Nadal was. So it was really so, and I somehow had a very different picture of Andre Agassi, that he was the softer one, which I think he was not, because he used to lose most of the time against Sampras. So I think their record is a little tilted towards Sampras. But then to get to know of this, and I think what Harkirat said, I agree, he was very vulnerable. Like the other only sports autobiography I read was Ganguly's Century is Not Enough. And I think it was very biased. I mean, okay, maybe let me not go there. But it was very biased, and then give that. So here he was very vulnerable, very honest. I think that's why it's named Open. One really good thing I loved about it is, I don't know, maybe absolutely someone who doesn't know tennis at all and all that, I think he pulled a lot of skill aspect of the game out of it. Like he doesn't go into the technicality of the game too much. He does very well with what other factors influence the game, like your fitness, your mental state of mind, people around you, and all that. So that is one thing that really, I think I felt it's a sports autobiography done very right for everyone. So yeah, that's one.
How nice. काफी अच्छे से articulate किया आपने, because I also share the same views. और writing के बारे में हम एक अलग से segment करते हैं इसमें, but like before we go to that, Ojashri, आप please like बताइए आपको कैसी लगी?
So I had read Open many years ago, actually 10, 15 years back, but it's one of those books that I gift people. Like I gift everybody I love. If I have to show my love to them, I give them Open and I'm like, please read this book. It's amazing. Also taking from Radhika, I have not followed tennis. I don't follow tennis at all. And in spite of that, if a book could do this to me, I can only imagine what it does to a tennis fan. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love the book. I love the way it's written in the sense that you are one of the neurons in his head, and you are seeing his world from his mind, and it's not description of events that happen to him. It's how you're living it with him. So that's the way the book is written, and it's just fantastic. I think to cut yourself open like that and just be there for the world was amazing. It was a very, very, very good book. And starting and knowing the fact that he hated tennis, and then to be as a child, and the whole childhood that was described, coming to where he was, and I mean, at the cost of sounding a little probably uninformed or naive, I had no idea who Andre Agassi was when I picked up the book. I just picked it up because somebody recommended it to me so much. So if coming from there, coming from that place, I love the book. I think that just says a lot, I would say.
नाइस सो मैंने जितनी किताब पढ़ी थी लाइक आई सेड लाइक जो लोग अभी ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं वानी वाज लाइक वांटिंग टू होस्ट इट अंटिल द लास्ट मोमेंट बट लाइक उनकी थोड़ी सी तबीयत अभी ठीक नहीं है and she has also revealed, by the way, the book for the month of October. I am the only one with this precious information which I am going to reveal towards the end. एंड मैंने जितनी किताब पढ़ी थी हम सब राइटिंग के से आई थिंक सारे ही ऑस्ट्रक थे. मैंने सुना है ऐसा, चलचित्र बुक क्लब में भी कभी बात हो रही थी एक बार व्हाट्सएप पे. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं बुक इतनी अच्छी लिखी है दैट इट इज घोस्ट रिटन, कि मतलब आंद्रे अगासी ने खुद नहीं लिखी, उन्होंने किसी से लिखवाई है. कोई इस पे किसी के कोई विचार है, ऐसा है या ये ऐसे बोलने की बातें हैं?
No, actually on this, I mean, I don't know the full info, but as a source from the book only, towards the end of it, he mentions that there's another person who, like, typically someone helps to pen the autobiography and you kind of mention his name. So he mentions the name, J.R. Moringer, right? Like the last page of the book, he mentions that he told, you don't need to put my name on the book. It's totally yours, so don't put my name. So I think from the book, at least the information is that guy assisted him a lot of putting it. But
and that guy is not an ordinary writer. He's a literally award-winning writer. So he has helped him frame the book. So that's why it's so well written.
So do you think, Radhika, do you think that is why it is well written?
I think that would have definitely shaped the way he has written. Like, obviously, he would have given his inputs in terms of his thoughts and experiences, but how to actually like pen down and how to literally frame it up, I'm sure he would have, J.R. Morgan would have really helped him. Because I have heard really good things about this particular writer's writing style as well.
So, I think he's written another book on tennis. I think that book came a few years before Open. I'm not sure if that book is also about Agassi, but I think it's a book on tennis only.
He has written a memoir. I'm not sure
of himself.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what he mentioned. No, in fact, I was imagining later. I'm surprised that this still didn't turn into a movie yet, because it is almost like those. Oh my God! Now I'm losing his name. Who's the guy who did the Chicago trial on the Chicago street? The writer who has these very fast Tripathi kind of a
Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin is like those. But shorter sentences. Almost everything is a repartee to the previous sentence, and like I said, it's more like a serve underwritten whole thing. So
it's very conversational also. It feels like he's having a conversation with the reader and not really preaching anything. So
and like आपने अभी कार्तिक सौरव गांगुली की ऑटोबायोग्राफी
mentioned. Century is not enough. So because I mean that was
मेरे को तो जनरली दुनिया में दिक्कत है ऑटोबायोग्राफी से. मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर रिटन फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ पीआर, और उनमें सच को ऐसे लाइक मैनिपुलेट करके प्रेजेंट किया जाता है जिससे सामने वाले को आप एक तरीके से उनके बारे में सोचें. इसलिए मेरे को बहुत ही कम ऑटोबायोग्राफीज पसंद आती. दिस वाज लाइक वन ऑफ दोज जो मेरे को लग रहा था कि वो पता चल जाता है भाई ये बंदा ऑनेस्ट है. और अगर there is nothing worse than a dishonest autobiography, ऐसे वो खटकता है कि यार सच ही बोल दे यार, क्या हो गया, फिर लिख क्यों रहा है नहीं था.
I think I can totally agree with you on that. I think I've read a couple of autobiographies, and only like I prefer reading an autobiography of a non-famous person. So it feels कि like honesty वहाँ से ज़्यादा आएगी rather than from like a celebrity or a public person.
Yeah. And like मैं जैसे फिल्म मेकर है एलिया गजान, मैंने उनकी पढ़ी और उसके बाद like I always say on the channel, वो है ना कि जैसे ब्रेकिंग बैड में आपने क्रिस्टल मेथ टेस्ट कर लिया और उसके बाद सारे आपको लगता है ड्रग्स ऐसे ही हैं. तो मेरे लिए वो है कि इफ यू रीड वन गुड ऑटोबायोग्राफी, क्योंकि मैंने ऐसे एक बार ना फिल्म्स में किया था, आई रेड नसीरुद्दीन शाह's, ऋषि कपूर और ऐसे 3-4 पढ़ी. तो मैंने कहा यार अगर तुम नसीरुद्दीन शाह और ऋषि कपूर में डिफरेंस देखो ना, नसीरुद्दीन शाह की इतनी ऑनेस्ट है एंड ऋषि कपूर की ऐसा लग रहा है कि कपूर खानदान के पीआर के लिए लिखी गई. इट्स ऑल्सो वेरी वेल रिटन बुक बाय द वे. पर ऐसे कि नहीं यार, मतलब कुछ तो दो मेरे को, मतलब ऐसे जिससे लगे कि यू आर रिवीलिंग योरसेल्फ. एंड इन दिस बुक लाइक आई सेड, मैं पूरी नहीं खत्म कर पाया, बट ये क्या एंड तक होता है, जहाँ लगता है कि शिट दिस इज सो ट्रू. लाइक एनीवन?
I might have slightly different.
Radhika.
I think the whole childhood part, I felt he was pretty honest, but I still felt that there were a couple of parts which, but it could be my personal opinion as well, which were not very honest, and one of them would be about his old drug abuse wala phase. He had barely described it. Like when I was browsing about it, he has simply swept that part very smoothly, and about how his breakup with his first wife. So I think there are a couple of parts which he has not been very honest about.
So all this happened during that descent phase, is it?
Mm-hmm, that phase.
Okay, I didn't know actually. I didn't know the Wikipedia side of it. So
when I read the book, just as somebody who doesn't know, I thought, oh wow, he's talking so much about his life, like because I had no idea about any other news that there's more to it. So
no, I think the way he handled there actually is also about the especially tennis also is seen as in a very gentlemanly light in some way. The way he described most of his opponents, he was very honest and critical about it. यार इसको तो कुछ आता ही नहीं है, मैं तो इसको 2 minute में निकाल लूं. And then within 10 sentences he's saying यार ये तो मेरी ही फाड़ रहा है, like so almost the whole language is like that. So that way he was very
The drugs thing is also pretty weird also, because I think I don't know how open you can be about that, because that can tarnish a sports person image. Like if he's too open about it and he's too honest. So I think that I sort of give him a pass on that. But I think even his second relationship, the one with Steffi, how he describes it sounded a bit too fairy tale to me, like koi Hollywood movie se pura aaya hai, I always liked her even when I was with the first girl and I had her magnets and posters on my fridge and things like that. And I was like, थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया ये, मतलब love story types. But
he has to go back home to her.
Some of them were plotted almost like a movie, like you kind of first half mein you take the name of Steffi Graf and all that, and then it all comes back. So वैसे काफी it was maybe okay. Now we can't judge whether he's telling the truth or not. Maybe he's telling the truth.
Nice. And टेनिस का जैसे मैं चलचित्र बुक क्लब में लाइक ऐसे डिस्कशन देख रहा था, बहुत लोग ये कर रहे थे, इफ ही टॉक्ड अबाउट अ मैच, फिर वो लोग वो मैच जाके यूट्यूब पे देख रहे थे. हैव यू गाइस डन द सेम थिंग?
ड्यूरिंग माय ऑफिस आवर्स, लाइक ऐसा स्ट्रीम चल रहा था. And I like swipe to that point कि when he would have described a particular shot or a particular time, and then I'll go back to it.
Even his ads, the ad that he described that he had to. The first thing you want to do is just go on YouTube and check the ad because of the
image is
everything.
I think his looks also. I think I had only seen the bald Agassi look, so first thing was went back and checked his mohawk look and everything.
और आई थिंक जो मैंने स्टार्टिंग का एक पार्ट पढ़ा था, तो आई थिंक वो यूएस ओपन था, उसमें उसने कुछ लिखा था कि मतलब उसको ये याद था कि जो भी बंदा उसके साथ कॉरिडोर से भी जा रहा होता है, लाइक ही नोज द आइडेंटिटी ऑफ एवरी पर्सन एंड एवरीथिंग, और कि अब सिक्योरिटी बढ़ा दी आफ्टर दैट गन शॉट फिर मैंने वो YouTube पे जाके देखा था, वो जब गोली चली थी या किसी ने कुछ
स्टैब किया था,
स्टैब किया था, क्या हुआ था वो एग्जैक्टली?
Full information I also don't have, but at that point there was this whole, I think if I'm not wrong, Monica Seles versus Steffi Graf was another rivalry that was happening on the women's circuit. So one fan of Steffi Graf supposedly went and stabbed Monica Seles बोल के बोलते हैं. I'm not very sure, but it was an event at that time, काफी. So yeah.
I read about it. I read that incident. So it was a match against Steffi Graf. And Steffi Graf was very popular. I think it was in her home ground only when that match happened. I'm not sure. But Monica has, I think, maybe defeated Steffi Graf or something like that. And then the guy was a sort of like a maniac, a psychopath. And then he had stabbed Monica, because of which she had an injury in her back or wrist and she was not able to play for another almost 2 years. So, and that had really affected her.
Got it.
Like, it was quite shocking incident to know actually, like what it could have done to that player.
Okay. और जैसे टेनिस रिलेटेड जो बाकी बायोग्राफी / ऑटोबायोग्राफी, जैसे अमेज़न पे जब आप ओपन करीते हो ना, तो एक नीचे नडाल के फेस की बनी हुई आती है. हैज एनीवन रेड दोस? लाइक हर कीरत, आपको बाकी टेनिस रिलेटेड कोई बुक्स के बारे में हमें बता सकते हैं, इफ यू नो ऑफ देम?
Not really. I haven't read any other tennis related books, nor have even heard कि मतलब जैसे open के बारे में लोग बोलते हैं इतना, I haven't even heard किसी और book के बारे में some book being regarded as highly as open. So I am sure those would be the standard PR books for like Nadal or Federer or anything. I don't think they'd be nearly as good as what open was.
Got it. And कोई सब अपने like sorry, yeah, Karthik.
Yeah, no, I was saying one of the themes that at least I was thinking a lot while reading, also because just around that time, King Richard is the trailer's name, I think, the movie's name, which is Serena and Venus Williams' father's kind of a biopic, which is just coming out. So Will Smith is playing their father. So just around that time only the trailer had come out while reading this book. So one theme I was very, very intrigued was this whole father's obsession with kids really turning into tennis pros at so early stage. It's also in one way a Dangal kind of a story. Here also he almost puts all his 4 kids through the tennis grill, and finally he strikes gold with Agassi. So I keep wondering really the ethical side of it, whether it's right or wrong. And like I have a 5-year-old, so I kept thinking like if I really...
Is it time to make that machine and throw balls at him?
I think it's late, Karthik. You should have started.
No, that's what I keep thinking. And if my kid has to write a book after 20 years, I always hated tennis and my father put through it. I don't think I can take it. But at the same time, if he's a tennis pro, I think I might take it. So that that both things was very, very intriguing for me, the way. And you see that as a trend, right? Most of these guys like Agassi, and then he later says Steffi Graf's father is another level of this thing, and then you see the Serena and Venus Williams this thing, and I think
that's
even
for Tiger Woods also. I think I saw his documentary recently. It was same for him as well.
Yeah. And I think recently Osaka also is like that, I think. So I was like, okay, it really is like you really need to do this to get there, and what's the cost of it?
I was slightly uncomfortable when I was reading the whole childhood part, because I just felt like relax, like just let him be, let the little boy be. But then there's this whole one. I think there's a sentence which says that if he hits 2,500 balls a day, he'll hit about more than 1 million balls in a year, and then nobody can beat that player. And I'm like, okay, man. I mean, I don't know if he wants to get to that position, but then the way his life unfolds later. I mean, I don't know. It's just supposed to happen.
I think I read this somewhere. If you have to be like at the top of your game in any sport, you can't have a normal childhood. Like it's impossible to have a normal childhood. You have to go through that rigor. And at that age, I think your parents have to be the ones who are pushing you into it, probably against their will. I'm not saying it's ethical or not. I think it's up in the air. But I think you can't have a normal childhood. Agassi couldn't have not played through those hours, put in those hours at that age, and become what he has become. So I think it is very important to go through that process to achieve the heights. I think हम अपनी society में अपनी class में best होने में इतना proud होते हैं. Becoming the best in the world, I think, is another level of achievement, and you have to put in the hours for that.
I think right or wrong is such a retrospective thing, because it turns out right, it's right. Otherwise, there are failure stories, I'm sure, or depression stories or whatever.
His brother only, I think, would be a failure story.
Yeah, all of her siblings. And even I think it's just that because he had turned out to be the best among the world, but he still had like really bad phases of his life because of how he was treated as a childhood. So, okay, for everyone else, it could be a good success story, but for him, he was like deep down, he was not a very happy person. So I think at the end of the day, I would not say that it's ethical.
I know.
And I particularly remember, like at one point, I think if anyone of you remember, when he had won he did not win the first prize, but he was awarded a consolation, and he said, "I didn't like that. I don't want this trophy." And his father literally took it and he threw it and thrashed it down, and then I think it just shattered. And he picked up the spear and threw it in the dustbin. I was really pissed. That was the point. I had literally hated his father. I was like, who does that? It's like I think it was very extreme. His father was very extreme.
But remember there is one instant where he says, I am also like my father. Like when he says, I have a killer instinct, I have the winner. Because he also hated losing that much as his father hated. And he's kind of in a way saying that I am what I am because I am like my father. But not also he was tormented by it. So he was trying to touch that gray area.
Like it was
if you go through that, winning does get to you. I think the lust of winning, the power of winning does hit you differently if you've gone through all of that.
Or every player has that, otherwise you can't.
But I have a genuine question I would want to ask. If do you really think he by the not in the childhood when he had grown up, do you think that he really hated the game? Because I don't think he did. After a point, he kept mentioning it even in his prime years that I hated the game, but I was not very convinced at that stage that he really hated the game.
Agree. I was thinking he will kind of turn it around. I thought this was also one of those character arc plot point kind of a things where they'll at the end of it turn it around and say, I always loved it or something.
I think at least, if not loved, but at least he would have accepted that this is what it is and this is what his life is about. But he didn't till the end. And I was there were times it's okay, please accept it now that you don't use the word hate at least, because you don't really hate it.
I think it's about matter of choice, because bachpan mein probably he didn't want to do it and his dad forced it. I love staying at home, but when I had to do it for Corona, I hated it. You know what I mean? So it's about me choosing to be, to be wanting to. So when he grew up and he chose the game over his life, maybe that's when it's a matter of choice also, I feel.
But I like one piece though. I think towards the later part when everyone's asking him, why don't you retire? And Sampras has also moved on, your whole generation had moved on and all that. So he kind of insists almost it's like a work ethic for him that he will do this until I can do it. So I think that's the closest he kind of says to I love tennis kind of a thing, or I would rather do this than do anything else at this point. So that one I felt again another existential question that it answered for me, why do we do a lot of stuff that we do is because we just do that better and we like it when we are doing it. So it need not be are you excelling or are you the best in it or nahi, bas court pe jaane mein acha lagta hai.
I think there was also something that after the downfall he got a trainer and he did all those So that also sort of says that he loved the game way more than he thrived on the game more than anything. So
I think it was his rebellious part which was kind of making him say
Yeah.
that he hates the game. I think it was that part of his personality,
And
which
plus,
is why
he
he
also
was harping on that.
specifies that now he has a reason because of his own school and funding that he needed.
Yes.
He mentioned that, okay, like this is the reason that I'm not doing it for myself or my father, I'm doing it for them. So I think that had also been a motivation force for him, why to keep going about it.
Yeah, I think if you assign meaning to anything, I think you draw a lot of courage just from the meaning you assign to that element.
Yeah.
Also, this one, I think another theme, I mean, especially because of the recent rivalries between Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, and especially how crowds take positions against these three. And I think the recent US Open had been a full twist, which made Djokovic cry. So again, it was happening on the same time. So he mentions that part also quite nicely. That's what I felt. I mean, so this again, I didn't read it, but I heard from few friends that Sachin's autobiography, which could have been godlike, people say is almost like reading a scorecard.
Yeah.
So he, in this book, that's what I felt, that he really took tennis out of it and he tried to explain the mental state in his own mind. He tried to explain how his mental state changes when the crowds influence it, which I think now we are seeing it very clearly with what's happening with Djokovic, who used to be booed earlier. Now he's being cheered.
Yeah.
So all positions changing. So yeah, those things I think was very, very nice in terms of how he put it. Yeah.
I think also when by the time an autobiography is written on you, more often than not, you're very famous and a lot of your life is already recorded. So it's, I think it's an achievement if you can sort of give an epiphany to people when they read it, because most of them are going to be your fans and they don't want to know events of your life. They're reading the book because they know what's happened. So Open sort of takes you through his life through his head, and in like a first person basis of what he was going through when you were just reading the news. And with Sachin's, I think I've read a little bit of Sachin's autobiography, which was more like a lot of news articles just put together over the years.
Those are the worst ones.
They're horrible. We know those.
I think it's about making it a human story, and I think that is what The Last Dance also did somewhat, the documentary on Netflix. I think it makes it a human story, and even if someone like Radhika, you and Ojashri, you said that you're not tennis fans particularly, but I've heard so many people who've picked this book up who are not tennis fans and they love this book just because it is a human story. It's not about tennis. It's about that person's journey doing something that he thought he hated and he hated all his life and how he went about it. So I think that is the key with this book, I feel.
Also, just a testimony. I'm sorry, Vaibhav.
No, please.
Just a testimony to how good it was written. I've really read the book 10 years back. I have not reread it. But I remember because of the way it was described. So I'm able to participate in the conversation just because it was like a motion picture in my mind. And I remember I have a visual memory of the book. So I think that's a testimony to a great book, I would say.
Epic memory, Ujashri. I can't remember the great books I read 2 years back.
No,
you remember it?
This is a great
10 years back.
ये वाली जो चीज होती है ना, जो आपके फील्ड की नहीं होती है, आपके इंटरेस्ट की नहीं, आपने पढ़ ली, देन वही है ना कि जैसे क्वींस गैम्बिट आया था, राइट? तो सबका सडनली चेस में इंटरेस्ट आ गया, स्कैम आया तो सबका सडनली ट्रेडिंग में इंटरेस्ट आ गया, एंड ओपन की वजह से आई एम श्योर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल स्टार्टेड टेकिंग इंटरेस्ट इन टेनिस. नो हुआ होगा, आई थिंक बहुत लोगों के लिए ऐसा हुआ होगा, वो उल्टा वर्क करता है.
I read all the terminologies of the tennis. I played tennis thoda sa, like a couple of months back. I started the tennis coaching, but it didn't go well because COVID se band ho gaya tha. So at least basic terms I knew, but I could understand more of details and descriptions when he mentioned about the terminologies. I could understand and relate.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I did not start taking great interest or following the sport. But of course, earlier, agar remote haath mein, I would just skip through tennis channels. Then I would just stop and watch whatever match is happening. So and I know a lot of players now.
and he has put those technicalities of tennis in very subtle way. कि जिसको समझ में आता है, वो बोलता है ना कि वो बॉक्स छोटा होता जाता है. And that's absolutely true. Like, as the game progresses, you are tired and you are trying to serve faster and faster. So वो box literally छोटा होता जाता है. So those are subtleties are very really good. And for me, you read the chapter, you watch the match, and it's a perfect combination. Like,
oh, I didn't do this.
Whiskey or chakna.
I didn't do this actually. Should try next time.
और इसके अलावा स्पोर्ट्स रिलेटेड आप लोगों को कौन सी किताबें पसंद है ओपन के अलावा जो लाइक विच कम क्लोज टू दिस या कुछ कोई भी या कोई ऐसी देखो दो बता सकते हो तो स्पोर्ट्स रिलेटेड बुक जो पसंद है या कोई ऑटोबायोग्राफी जो आपको बहुत पसंद है लाइक वील टेक एवरीवनस रिकमेंडेशन या प्लीज राधिका
I think I found it very close to how Shoe Dog was described. I read Shoe Dog like I think 2 months back, and I think the human aspect of it and the vulnerability, I think to me it was very similar to Shoe Dog. Another autobiography which I thought was very honest and genuine was Educated. I think like how for Rajastri she gifts people and recommends Open. I think I recommend Educated to everyone because it's a non-famous person and I think it has come from a very honest and vulnerable point of view, and she does not have to portray a certain image of how she was, and she does not have an alter image to herself. So I think these two autobiographies I feel, but yeah, Shoe Dog, since it's again a very famous personality, I think it was very like in terms of vulnerability and honesty. I think both are very similar to me.
नाइस मेरे पास अभी वानी का मैसेज आया है कि since she couldn't join like she has sent me a selfie with the book that she has picked up for the next month तो जब रिवील कर रहे होंगे तो मैं वो दिखाऊंगा but before that let's take the recommendations of others also.
I would like to jump in. So weirdly while I was reading the book and same like autobiography के साथ वो दिक्कत रहती है कि honest कितनी है वो सब. But somehow मैंने गांधी जी like that was my first autobiography like गांधी जी की like my experiment with truth or which I read when I was like 8-9 year old and I remember that कि मैंने गुजराती में पढ़ी गांधी जी की autobiography so I felt really connected and I don't know it can be controversial but Gandhi ji was also open about like his life in his autobiography and all that and I felt that same it just reminded me of that biography.
Yeah, the early parts in that are quite honest and kind of I mean later also would be but I think early parts is something that you won't associate with Mahatma Gandhi so quickly so I think that was a very honest one.
Or maybe the short sentence structure I didn't know.
Yeah.
I haven't read the book, but I think a sports book which would be nice based on the movie would be Moneyball. So I would love to read that book given how much I love that movie. So I think that could be one. In terms of autobiographies, I haven't read much. I'm a Manchester United fan, so I've read Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography, which I really like. But again, it's not something that a non-football fan would enjoy, I think. I think one recent one that I listened to actually on Audible was Becoming by Michelle Obama. And I'm not really a huge fan of the Obamas, but I really like that book. So yeah, I think that's a good book. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So this, like I said, the other one that I read, I didn't like. So autobiography, sports, nothing that I read. Otherwise, college time pe I've read those business autobiographies like Jack Welch ka, Lee Iacocca ka. I'll go by, I think Ojashri's funda that if I don't remember much of it there. So great. So that's one. But I think one thing, again, this is not an autobiography as such, but I love the movie that's again done by Danny Boyle and Aaron Sorkin for Steve Jobs. Jobs. I love that again. I mean, I think to see a person through just 2-3 events, I think that was one of a very interesting take. So that's
Yeah, I have not read a lot of sports. I don't think I've read any other sports book, frankly. Autobiographies also. I mean, I've read Becoming, but I mean, it's okay. I didn't really enjoy it so much. I thought her greatest achievement that came down to was making the vegetable garden in the White House. But there was one book on ISRO written by, I think the book is only called ISRO. It was on formation of ISRO, so written by Arvind Ranganathan, or I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry, who was also one of the first scientists with APJ Abdul Kalam, and who went to America, to NASA, and then came and set up. So it was a story of the setting up of ISRO. That's the closest I've come to reading another, like a biography / autobiography of an event, which was also very nice and interesting, because I've not again read something in that in the field.
Got it. Any other last pointers on open, क्योंकि इसके बाद मैं book reveal करूँगा, and like any last words about the book we picked for September? कोई भी कुछ बताना चाहता है, कोई चीज जो यार ये बात नहीं की, anything that you guys want to discuss?
Yeah, one point I felt was also a theme. I think it was there through the book, is to have your little 4-5 people around with you who generally are a good sounding board, who kind of keep you in check. So I think that he'd also, one of the theme in his life, like his trainer, his brother, and his 2-3 friends. Again, I'm sure he would have edited out a few or whatever it is, but I think that I felt was a very good takeaway from the book, that you always have your 4 or 5 people core team, which really keeps you going. That was one theme. And yeah, again, I think it's more relatability in terms of age. I was thinking, oh God, this guy is really sweating it out when he's 35, 36. So then I was thinking of my own fitness levels. After this, it seems like we can't play any sport. This guy had done everything since childhood, and he is like, no, my body is giving up. I'm not able to play beyond the third set. So that's another. There's a lot of stress on fitness in a very basic way. मतलब वो ये चाहिए, like you like, I mean, I didn't realize this. Obviously, you always see it, but against a very plush court of Wimbledon or this thing, you don't see that so much of sweating. But the game, most of the games are actually after the 50-60% mark is mostly about fitness. That's one thing at least he highlights in a lot of the games that he played. If I take it to the fourth set, the other guy will wear out. So yeah, that's one theme I really felt he put it out there to understand. Yeah, I'm sure people who play would know, but maybe as a spectator, I never realized, oh, this guy is getting tired now. That's why he's not able to reach out to the next shot. So that is one thing that I felt. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, very well pointed. Even I noticed that part. And I like how at the age when most of people were questioning about retirement, and he was at the lowest, and he still like to have that will to rise back and to do something which has never happened before. I think that was something that had really like took me, like that part.
I think tennis is like that. I think it's a very grueling sport. I think in other sports you get like rest. In basketball also is a very fast-paced sport, but you get substitutions. You get to sit out. You get to relax. In tennis, you don't get to do that. It's point after point after point for almost like 4-5 hours, and you just have to be at it. So I think, us sense mein it is that. I think one more aspect of the sport which I got to know from this book also was how lonely of a sport tennis is. In other sports, you have people around you, you have your coaches.
I remember this paragraph.
No one.
Yes.
I remember this paragraph.
Very valid one. I mean, I think this comes right in the beginning. When it came, I realized, I never thought of tennis like this. I never thought of tennis like this. And then I was trying to match any other game which is as lonely. Like badminton bhi fatafat max 1 घंटे में खत्म हो जाता है. So I was like, there's no other game like this. So that's very true. I think that's again the perspective that pulls you into the book. Agree.
Or like you cannot talk to your coach or anybody else in between unless there is some break or something. That's
on that note, these days there is a lot of controversy on people taking loo breaks and all of that. कि ये जाके आ ही नहीं रहा है and all that. So yeah.
Oh.
Because remember that game against Nadal and Federer, where there was a rain in Wimbledon. I think it was 2009.
Yes. Yeah.
And Nadal was afraid because it's like if Federer talks to his wife in break, and then he's like unbeatable, and he has done that in past in various occasions where he was, and so Nadal was afraid, but finally he bet with Federer. I think I would like to add one thing. I was watching Gil's interview. He's a fitness coach, and that guy is humongous. And like in videos, he looks even more humongous. So he was talking about like Agassi and coaching and one thing he mentioned the most important about like for him to coach Agassi was like to have his human part alive, like keep that, and special like in sports that happen, like it's a rigorous training, it's like army, like you have to put your thoughts aside, and that's what his father said, like never think. And
Right.
and Gilles was like, I have to keep the human part of him alive, like he is human first than anything else, any like tennis or his dreams or whatever. And that he mentioned in the interview, and I'm like, that's why. And Agassi is also like struggling whole his life to keep that human inside him alive. And yeah, that part I really liked. And so his book is like so human. We all can.
Nice.
It's good.
And also, just to maybe end with it, there's a little mention about Leander Pace for a paragraph.
I remember.
Yeah. I was like, यार
I
ये
laughed.
इसको भी ले रहा है, मतलब he's taking his case also, ये बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया times. But then you're into 3/4 of the book, so I think he says something like he's jumping all around the court and still managing to win the point. I don't know what's his game exactly type. So he's like, तो
ले ली थी उसकी तो. In 2 sentences he had just like screwed it.
Yeah.
अभी इसकी टेनिस की बात हो रही है. हार्दिक शिंदे has commented something जो मेरे को पढ़ना पड़ेगा. एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री है स्ट्रोक्स ऑफ जीनियस 2008 विंबलडन के ऊपर, और ये राहुल देसाई ने चलचित्र पे रेकमेंड भी की थी. Oh my God, what a terrific documentary! और वो YouTube पे अवेलेबल है by the way. So मतलब मैं कह रहा हूँ स्ट्रीम खत्म होते ही आप लोग देख सकते हो, इतनी अच्छी.
Can you repeat the name?
Strokes of a Genius.
Strokes of a Genius.
I remember that final actually. It was a
Yeah.
great match. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I think अभी we are running short on time, and like अब मेरे को जल्दी से आप लोग ड्रम रोल्स करोगे ना मेरे साथ. like अभी कोई guesses करना चाहेगा? ये वानी की one of the favorite books है. So guys, we are about to reveal the book of the month for October. It is Vani's one of the favorite books of Vani, and we'll take a few guesses from Pikachu's. Any Pikachu's on the floor in the chat? कोई कुछ करना चाहेगा guess? Sannata.
Vaani keeps mentioning Deborah Levy. So, that's one author she keeps mentioning.
Okay. Any other Pikachus on the floor?
I just hope it's not a Paulo Coelho. Baki sab I think I'll keep.
Okay, so मैं अब directly like photo दिखाता हूँ. Vani has just sent like a photo, so I'll reveal the selfie that she has sent, and the book of the month, a book a month with Vani series की जो हमारी अक्टूबर की pick है, that is it is Deborah Levy's The Cost of Living.
I think someone had just like pointed that out in the chat.
Yeah, Karthik को मिलते हैं plus 20 points. It is, she had just sent me this image, The Cost of Living by Deborah Levy. This is the book. इसका link in description within a few seconds आ जाएगा description में. Guys, जाके देखिए. और like किसी ने पढ़ी हुई है ये किताब? Like was someone wanting to read it? Like in the जो भी call पे हैं लोग? Anyone?
No.
Yeah, but like so I think काफी fun होने वाला है ये, and Vani has talked a lot about it. Oh, मेरे यहाँ पे light चली गई. Can you guys still see me, hear me? Okay.
We can only hear you.
Hey you.
Yeah, but like Vani has talked a lot about it, and a lot. Nandan also guessed it. So Nandan also gets plus 20 points. Or yeah, Light will come back in a second. It is a little awkward, but oh shit, exactly I think. But yes, do book for the month of October. The chat में भी आ गया cost of living. Amazon का ये जो link है इससे buy कीजिएगा यार, ये affiliate link है. So it would be great if you can buy from it. And the light is here. And on that note, I think हम stream के end की तरफ आ रहे हैं. Anything anyone would like to add? कोई ऐसी recommendations जो book का month में आप चाहते हो, like Vaani should pick in the coming months कि यार ये book pick करना. कोई ऐसी कोई किताबें हैं जो आपकी कोई फरमाइशें हो? Like I'll try to run it by Vaani. पार्थ बहुत शांत है. पार्थ कुछ बताइए.
अरे नहीं, मैं sorry, because I in a book, like he says, Pete is like very quiet kind. He doesn't like to like speak much and like very straightforward, very boring person. And I was like, I am like Pete, opposite to Agassi.
Yeah. Okay.
But
okay.
No, I think I don't read much except newspaper. So
yeah. Cool. Anyone else? कोई ऐसी books जो आप चाहते हैं हम book का month में we should pick?
I don't know if this one's done, but a man called Ove or Uva is what they say it's pronounced as.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
beautiful. Amazing. By
Okay.
Frederick
Okay.
Dachmann.
Got it. Anyone else? Anything there? Anyone?
40
Yeah.
Rules of Love. I'm reading it lately and I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah. 40 Rules of Love.
40 Rules of Love.
Nice. But guys, Deborah Levy's The Cost of Living is the book for the next month. जो जरूर पढ़ें. और जो आपकी मिस हो जाती है वो भी पढ़ सकते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आप ओपन अभी भी पढ़ रहे हैं तो आप नहीं, मतलब कंटिन्यू कीजिए यार. मतलब लाइक कभी कभी वो बैकलॉग रह जाता है, बट लाइक दिसंबर तक बैकलॉग क्लियर कर लीजिएगा. दिस इज द ओनली थिंग आई वुड से. एंड थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. थैंक यू ओजस्वी. थैंक यू. मैं आपका नाम हर बार लाइक मैं ना प्रोनाउंस गलत कर रहा हूँ, सो प्लीज फॉरगिव मी फॉर दैट. थैंक यू कार्तिक. थैंक यू हरकिरत. थैंक यू राधिका. थैंक यू पार्थ फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. एंड आई होप यू गाइस हैड fun.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for doing this.
Yeah.
Great chatting with
And
everyone. Thank you.
thank you guys. And on that note, we'll end the stream. Thank you guys for watching. Do check out the book for next month and we'll see you soon. Bye. Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye.